My name is Cotter, and I have reviewed many Cheez-Its in my life. Some would call me a bit of an expert. Some would say that I know more about Cheez-Its than most people, perhaps. But regardless of what you think, I believe that I am capable of providing a fair, just, and in-depth review of any form of Cheez-It. And today, that Cheez-It takes the form of the original cheddar crunch Cheez-It, or the Wiggly Cheez-It. My reviews here are very thorough. I like to look at all aspects of the Cheez-It experience. And today that means I'd like to look at the packaging a bit. Of course, we compare everything to the classic. You can't beat the original Cheez-It, or so some may say. And so when we're comparing these two, you can see it's quite a similar situation going on here, right? They look very similar, but I will say, initial impressions, way more dynamic. I mean, just look at that. You got that shading there, that shadow there. You got, it looks like they got the sun going down on that. That looks a lot more exciting to eat than that. So I'm just gonna say right off the bat, great impression. But before we test this Cheez-It, we need to test this guy. Now, I've had many of these in my life. Many, many, many. Enough to know it like the back of my hand. Or even the back of my... I know what it tastes like. But just to get a good benchmark, just to whet my palate for the sort of thing that we're trying here, I'm going to have one or two of these just to familiarize myself once again. Very crunchy, very flavorful, very salty. It's got basically everything you could ask for. It's possibly the perfect snack, I would say. So we know what that's like. And I would rate the Cheez-It just as a baseline. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 because that gives some room where there could be some growth in the future, but you never know. We'll see. All right, so we're going to judge this based on certain specific criteria, right? Because this is a serious review. Now, going off of the first of my criteria, which is appearance, I will say bad first impression. I don't know if you can tell, but this Cheez-It looks a lot paler than the classic Cheez-It. And that's not a good thing. Pale means sick. So what this is telling me is that when I have this, I will become sick. But I will say, the very subtle powdering on there, the little 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 black bits, if you can see that, are a nice touch. It gives it some more texture, some more interest. With the classic Cheez-Its, I will say they are very one note, one color, you know. You look at it, it's orange, and that's all that's really going on. This one puts a little more color into the mix, which is a good thing. I like that. I like the creativity. Let's give it a go. Mm, mm. I have thoughts. First of all, if you recall my review of the extra cheesy Cheez-It, I had one major critique, which is that while the baseline Cheez-It was there, choosing to add powder rather than doing a flavor that's built into the Cheez-It, that was a bad choice because it means you get this big jump of flavor, but then after that you're like, oh man, it's kind of boring now. And unfortunately, that's exactly what this falls victim to. I eat it and I'm like, okay, there's some flavor, and then that's gone, and I'm just like, all right, well, what was that anyway, you know? The big selling point of this Cheez-It is that it's the crunch. You know, you bite into it and you're like, oh, that's the crunch. And the crunch was there. the crunch was good. So if you're someone who enjoys crunch, you might like this. But for someone such as myself, I think that the classic Cheez-It has the perfect amount of crunch. You don't need to modify anything there. So although the crunch was executed upon correctly, I don't think it helps. This, I would say, was just worse than the classic. So right now, I would probably place this at a 6 out of 10. Now, you know me. You know I don't do things halfway. You know I don't compromise when I get things done. And what that means today is that I'm not just here to review the original cheddar crunchy Cheez-It. I'm not here for just one Wiggly. I'm not here for just one Wiggle. I am here for not one, not two, but 3 Wiggly Cheez-Its. Say hello to 2 new varieties of Crunch Cheez-It. This here is the sharp white cheddar crunchy Cheez-It, and this here is the zesty cheddar ranch Cheez-It. We're gonna try this one first, and this is one I'm excited for. I typically like white cheddar flavors. I'm a fan of them. I used to have the white cheddar popcorn of a brand that I've forgotten, and I always thought, okay, it's one of the better choices out there. So this one I think will add some nice variety to the palette of flavors that we've experienced here in our Cheez-It reviews. Alright, so this is the white cheddar crunchy Cheez-It, and I would say the appearance is nice. It's very one note, such as the classic, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I think that this, among the Cheez-It options we've looked at, stands out quite well. You might recall with the extra cheesy Cheez-It that it looked almost exactly the same as the classic Cheez-It. It was a classic Cheez-It, but if you zoom in, oh, you might see there's a bit of powder on there, maybe a slightly brighter orange color, but it was basically the same. But this looks distinct, and I love that. And something about it, I can't even say why, but it feels more appropriate. This feels better than this. So let's try it. Okay, that was really good. That flavor was unique. That flavor was great. It wasn't the classic Cheez-It, okay. So if you're looking for something that's gonna taste like a classic Cheez-It, this is not it. But it was good. It tasted great. It felt like something distinct. And there was powder on it. There was powder, and I'm a powder hater. But it was executed better because the flavor of it was unique just as much as the powder. If you're looking for a crunchy Cheez-It option, this is absolutely the one I would go for based on what I've had so far. This one easily earns a 7 out of 10. Okay. Okay. So, that is an interesting appearance. You see the holes there? You see those holes? Those holes are unique. I did not see those same holes on the Crunch Cheez-It or the original Cheddar Cheez-It. This looks unique, this looks distinct. It looks very similar to the white Cheddar Cheez-It, but it does add on those little flaky bits, the little bit of a pepper on there, which is a nice touch. And it looks very distinct, as I said. I like the appearance. I think this combines the best elements of the 2 other varieties of Crunch Cheez-It that we saw. Now I will say, it does not look like a Cheez-It. This is not a Cheez-It. But it might still taste good. And here we don't just care about whether it tastes like the original Cheez-It, because if we just want to have the original Cheez-It, we're going to have the original Cheez-It. So if it tastes good within its own niche, that's great. That's awesome. I encourage more of that. So let's try it. So that was interesting, okay? That was very interesting. So what I liked about the white cheddar Cheez-It is that it combined the best elements of the white cheddar idea and everything in general. This felt like a complete package. This felt like a product that knew what it wanted and executed that perfectly. This, on the other hand, does not do that. Now, you might look at this box art and think, okay, it looks kind of like a Cheez-It. It's kind of orange, you know, it's probably going to look maybe a bit like this one did. But this is almost exactly as white as the white cheddar Cheez-It. Does this say white on it? Does this say white on it? No. It says Zesty Cheddar Ranch. It's got cheddar on there. This doesn't look like cheddar. This looks like something else. So when I ate this, I was expecting something maybe a little closer to the white cheddar, but it didn't taste like that. I thought, okay, maybe it's going to taste like cheddar. It didn't. It tasted like something different. I don't even know what it was, to be honest. But the biggest failing that this does is the exact same one that you see with the extra cheesy Cheez-It and the original cheddar one, where they just put too much powder on it so you can barely taste it because your tongue is like, oh, I love this powder, and then the powder's gone and you're like, what? I don't like this anymore. So it's like, it's great, you know, you get a lot of flavor, but after that you're kind of disappointed. So this is a failure. So what are my conclusions? What do I think about the Crunch Cheez-It, the Wiggly Cheez-It? It can be good. There are some versions of this Cheez-It which are good. This one was great. This one was awesome. Buy this if you want a solid cracker. This one, terrible. 6 out of 10. This one, 6 out of 10 as well. Not worth it. Great as always. And in general, the only one here that's worth getting is this. And if you want the Cheez-It experience, if you want that classic Cheez-It experience, go with the bomb. Don't get these other options. Just go with the classic. I say it over and over again, you know? People say, Cotter, you always talk about the classic. Could you talk about something else? And I say, no, I can't talk about anything. Because it's the classic Cheez-It. What do you change about it? What do you improve? So, that's all my thoughts. That's all I've got to say. I love Cheez-Its when they taste like Cheez-Its or when they taste like something that's good. And in general, yeah. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. I hope that this time you spent was worth it. I hope that you're going to go home and you're going to eat those Cheez-Its and you're just going to say, oh man, I love Cheez-Its. And have a great rest of your day. I love you, and I'll see you later. Bye.